Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 18th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hopefully the day was nice. It treated you well. As for me, as for mine, it's been good. I missed you yesterday. I know, hopefully you got that lasagna yesterday. That lasagna. Look, we're going to do a quick rundown on, the whole, Monday into today. I'll catch you up. So yeah, let's actually rewind the clock. Go back to Monday. Monday was overall good. Just rough. It was a long day. I'll say that much. I woke up and I was overall ready to start the day, ready to get into it, as ready as I could be. And I will say though, at the top of it, I think I did feel a little off in the sense of my head hurts. But I was trying to hold off on taking too much medication or anything like Advil or whatever. I'm like, all right, let's just try to get through the day. Let's march along. I did try to snack a little bit, like my usual. That really wasn't helping as I was getting through the day. And mind you, overall the day was busy work-wise. I was able to stay at the Crusher the whole day, so that was nice. We love days like that. But the Crusher or the Rumpke did come a bit late. Not too late, but late enough that I was getting annoying, and the Crusher was almost full. So I was about an hour or two into the day. But overall, work was solid in that regard. But I want to say by 2:00, I finally caved and I took some Advil. And at that point, we had eaten something, we had some Advil in our system, and I'm still feeling rough. My head's still hurting. I'm not good. So, I pretty much go straight home after work and I just crash. I have a nice little nap. And by a little nap, I mean 2 hours later, I wake up and I'm like, okay, all right, I feel a little bit better. So that's good. Awesome. But I gotta catch up because normally you're like, okay, well, this is where you go to the gym, right? This is where you do your usual and you come back and do a podcast. Yeah, no, it was actually laundry day. So, I was determined to do laundry on this Monday. So I was like, all right, let's just get to it. Let's get after it. Because I knew last wash was going to be an hour from when I had woken up or so. So I was like, all right, let's get into it. So I get to the laundromat. There was one washer for me. I'm like, lucky me. Get all my shit in there and we're good to go. Overall laundry was fine, but I had realized with the nap and everything, my whole night is just off. And I know that I need to eat. I want to get the podcast in. I want to go to the gym. And I'm like, I can do one more thing maybe. And I'm like, shit, no, I'm going to run out of time. No. So I proceed to make some compromises pretty much on the fly for the rest of the night. One, I go to Chipotle and I'm in full chud mode. I'm like, give me a big burrito. Give me a big bag of chips with some spicy, salsa. That's going to be dinner tonight. I'm eating out. Daddy's eating out tonight. So we get a big old bag of bullshit. I take that home, devour it. But that's not before folding all my laundry. So, at this point I'm like, whew, good. Laundry's fully done, mission complete. I've now consumed a whole dinosaur egg of Chipotle. And I'm just in digestion mode, and I proceed to just lay down again, but not sleep, mind you, just digest, like a coiled snake full of food or some shit. I'm just resting in the dark with TV playing in the background, and I got a little live stream stuff going on, whatever. I proceed to do that for a whole last hour. I get up, I take a shower, and by the time all that's said and done, it's about 12:00. So it was pretty late. I'm past my original bedtime. So I'm like, I'm going to hang out for another hour or so and then we'll go to bed. That's my day. That's my night. That's what we're doing. So no episode. And mind you, there was definitely, there was some news to be had. I just, I didn't have the energy to really deliver it. But we're going to get into that today, needless to say. But anyway, speaking of today, Tuesday. I wake up, I'm feeling a lot better overall. So that was good. We get to work yet again. It is another day where Rumpke does not come on time. It's very annoying that we're just in this kind of bad groove. But overall, once they do get here, they do swap the crusher out. Awesome. We're good to go. The rest of the day was pretty breezy. I got to stay at the crusher. I got to catch up on all of the, like the cardboard, all the skids, all that. So like things are looking nice at the crusher right now. Knock on wood, because tomorrow you never know. So that was good. Work was solid. Post work, we do wind up at the gym. Pretty good for a Tuesday. I got enough room to get on a bench, do some free weights and stuff, so that was nice. Do my usual bullshit there. I get out, I get home, I have my snack. I did skip my stretches. I know I'm being bad. But I did have my snack, have my little creatine water, yada yada yada. We load up on news because like I said, there's a lot to yap about for today. And here we are, ready to yap about said news. So yeah, you're all caught up on my Joneses. I'm sorry. Kept you waiting, huh? I know. I missed you, but we're back and we're ready to yap, baby. All right, so let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into the news. Fuck yeah. All right. First story comes from USA Today. New information revealed following Hayden Panettiere's death. Updates. The former child star, who died August 16th at age 36, was found unresponsive at Judson Mill Lofts, an apartment complex in Greenville, South Carolina. Local police told USA Today. A 911 call obtained by Reuters, TMZ, and other outlets revealed the Scream franchise actress was in cardiac arrest after a possible overdose. The Greenville Police Department and the Nashville County Coroner's Office continue to investigate the Nashville actress's death as more tributes to the young star pour in. So they have more, investigation, stuff going, more, details that they mention here. I really don't want to touch too much of that. I kind of just wanted to focus this on kind of the tribute aspect of it. I will say though, if there's any, big updates, any big evidence that I feel like is more concrete, I would like to come back to the story. There's definitely a lot to talk about, but it does feel very like page 70. I feel like to kind of dig in and talk about that. But I will say, and I know this is a bit, me and the vagaries here, but I really do hate, and I get that this is just a thing that's going to happen again and again and again, time immemorial. That people do not hesitate. They immediately jump to there has to be a conspiracy here. She just came out with a memoir talking about a lot of stuff, and surely it's something coming off of from shit like that. And it's people posted that shit day dot fucking one, and it wasn't even my comments. I'm just a random ass fucking guy with a Facebook account. You feel me? So I know people are running wild with all kinds of speculation and who did what. I think it's this. I think it's that person. I don't want to do that. I really don't. I just think that it is a weird kind of dark fantasy casting thing that people are doing. And I get it. I mean, we literally have a fucking pedophile in the fucking White House running that shit. And we have evidence to prove that. But until I have that, I don't like to just run wild, pointing fingers, saying it's probably this, probably that. You don't know. You don't know, Hayden. You don't even do that shit. I think it's really weird. I think it's bizarre. A bit macabre. But anyway, and I know, hypocritical of me of all people to say that shit. But here I am, persisting. That being said, just kind of getting to the tribute. Am I the biggest, Hayden Panettiere fan? Actually, to a certain extent, I will say I'm a fan for sure. I remember her from Remember the Titans. being the coach's daughter. That was the first time I'd ever seen her. It always is like a nice surprise reminder thing where I remember like, damn, that was the original voice of Kairi from Kingdom Hearts. She's a cheerleader in Heroes. I think that's a big one for like nerds. Like that might have been the first exposure for a lot of people, at least for the, for the boys. But she's also, in Disney, galore. I feel like maybe not Disney galore, but in terms of like at least one Disney movie or one Disney project for sure. Obviously a very prolific actress. It's really sad that something like this happens to anyone, but especially someone, with a family or a child, a daughter, 36 years old. So definitely unfortunate, obviously condolences to her and, family, everyone, anyone who's, life she's touched. It's definitely, a sad thing to have to be like, you just wake up and damn, this person's just gone. And they had a whole ass fucking life ahead of them. But anyway, I usually save these for the end. I know there's definitely a lot of times where I don't cover obits, but this one was something that I felt, it was like, this is a person I've seen, I've seen some of their work and things of that nature. It did have an effect on me. And they definitely will be missed in that regard. But, yeah, we're starting off with that. We're going to move on to some fucking war shit, unfortunately. Excuse me. From the Associated Press. The Moscow region is hit by a drone blitz as Russian missiles kill 10 in a Ukrainian village. Ukrainian forces launched one of their biggest drone attacks on Russia since Moscow's invasion, over 4 years ago, firing almost 800 drones only 2 days after a similar salvo, officials said Tuesday. Meanwhile, a Russian missile strike on a village in northeastern Ukraine's Kharkiv region killed at least 10 people and wounded 17 others as the barrage demolished homes. So yeah, just another update on that front. There's obviously a lot of more details to go through just for this article alone. I've been hearing it mentioned on like, news outlets or whatever that like this pace is kind of staying at such a high tempo because you want to try to get as much done before winter. And that's a pattern that, I've seen time and again, with this being, over 4 years at this point. But I guess it's just like, damn, that hasn't changed, even though we have been talking more about the missiles and drones and that kind of warfare. It's been less about pushing bodies on the war front, like in that regard, taking territory and stuff. It feels like there's been a little bit less of that, even though obviously I know that's still fucking happening. But that being said, it doesn't change how this war conducts itself through the seasons. And when winter comes, between Ukraine, between Russia, that shit tends to like really lock up and just be at a standstill. And naturally, for Russia, they want to take as much as they can, make it as hard as they can on Ukraine. And then for Ukraine, they're trying to defend themselves and push and take back as much territory as they can. But also now with the drone shit, do offensives and things of that nature to try to, I guess, push Russia to like say, hey, come back to the table and actually like make a deal with us. That's what we want at this point. That is, where we were at, and you guys wanted to make some like obscene fucking deal. Well, we're not here for that. And they know they don't want to come back to the table until they can make a crazy deal, which means they have to put more pressure out. I feel like that's where the war is as of now, but you're just getting the kind of Isaiah analysis there. I don't know. Anyway, but let's move on from one front to another. We're taking it to Korea. From The Guardian. South Korea president calls for military independence in wake of Trump call to cut joint drills. South Korea's president has renewed his push to regain independent control of the military from the U.S. in the event of war and urged faster progress in acquiring nuclear-powered submarines after Donald Trump's order to cut joint drills. On Sunday night, Trump instructed the Pentagon to substantially reduce this week's joint military exercises with South Korea, saying the nuclear-armed North has been unthreatening and respectful, and that the U.S. president had a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. Lee Jae-myung said on Tuesday that Seoul should proceed without disruption with the planned transfer during his term of wartime operational control, or OPCON, of South Korean forces from the U.S., a goal he and the government have long held. I think it's also worth noting here that like we are talking about a quote unquote liberal government because, from the whole coup shit from, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, whatever. Yoon Suk Yeol, if I'm getting that name right, pulling that from memory, that was a conservative, guy. And it's like, you would think that like this war hawk shit, whatever, would simmer down. In some ways it has, but at the end of the day, this is just the role that South Korea is always going to play for their quote unquote, sovereignty or whatever. I don't know, however it's being worded. But essentially they're like, no, we are going to be about that shit when it comes to North Korea. So like if America wants to like not help us, we're gonna go our own way about this shit. Which is definitely something I disagree with. But, there's a whole historical weed thing that they do kind of get into a little bit here. They touch on, but it would take a lot more than my podcast and a lot more than this episode to really do the whole deep dive and give it justice. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those, if you know, you know. And I guess how you feel about it is how you feel. Anyway, let me skip ahead a little bit, though. Or I might have covered more or less what I wanted to. Yeah, let's just get to this highlighted portion real quick. Lee also called for faster progress on South Korea's nuclear-powered submarine program and on developing officers capable of integrated operations for future conflicts. So it's like, I had overall heard like, hey, we're trying to like make communication happen. We're trying to like, really simmer down tensions and stuff because we felt like the previous administration wasn't doing that. We want to have, as close to a unified Korea as we can. But the second Donald Trump gets on his bullshit, which, mind you, Donald Trump gets on this bullshit at least once a term. In 2018, he has done this before. It's also mentioned in this article where he was like, yeah, like Kim Jong-un funks at me. He kind of loves me. When, mind you, that was like a strategic play by North Korea to be like, hey, I think we can play this fucking guy like a fucking sucker. And let's just buddy up with him. Let's get some fucking photo ops. Let's make some shit happen. And that's what they did. And I feel like that's more or less what's happening now. I think with Trump, he's looking for any kind of like foreign affairs W he can get in the midst of this war with Iran, which is just going so fucking terribly. Strait's so close. Even though I think, this is a random sidebar update, he's trying to like call it a U.S. territory. He's like trying to call it the Strait of U.S. He's trying to like Gulf of America it. It's like, brother, you look fucking pathetic. You're making us look so stupid. But what else is fucking new there? But yeah, I think he is trying to like reach for like kind of old bones. He's trying to get old fucking shit back up. And, at the end of the day, I didn't really mention this with like him at NATO, but like the Trump administration is trying to like get their bones back over the Iran war in the sense of, we called out a lot of like, hey, come help us in the strait, like NATO allies, allies in Asia, Japan and South Korea, like, please come hither. We need you, like, help us patrol this shit or something. No one wanted to get their hands fucking dirty. So when it came to NATO, we've been trying to get our little licks here and there. I think we talked shit on Spain, said we're going to like have some kind of retribution with them. With UK, I think we've done it. We needle where we can. And I do think in this regard, it's no different. At the end of the day, we still need them. They're still our allies, but they didn't come when, big old daddy Emperor Trump said, come hither. And in some regard, I think he wants to have them kind of get a little bit of comeuppance in that regard. But that's, maybe a bit speculative. But that being said, I do believe 100% that he thinks he's got the fucking juice when it comes to Kim Jong-un. And I'm sure, yet again, he is just getting played. But we'll see. We'll fucking see. I don't think, like, when I initially came into this story, I really didn't even want to bring it up. This felt like a nothing burger thing, but it is something to talk about in terms of, like, patterns with the Trump admin. I think that, that's part of why I like doing this is I have that on record, that we get to talk about the shit and see the shit, live at the time, you know what I mean? So it's interesting all the same. And also, I think it's good to talk about the situation in South Korea, because I think that there's definitely one lens that we, have to look at it. And then there's the deeper stuff. There's a lot of history and stuff that even I learn about, there's so much for me to learn. But, yeah, I definitely feel differently the more I know. But anyway, let's go ahead and hit our next story. I know we have a good amount to still cover. All right. Our next story is from the BBC, and it's a heist. Y'all know I love a fucking heist, so we're so back. 4 extraordinary Renaissance paintings stolen from Italian museum. Let me take a quick water break. Oh, man. All right. 3 of the 5 surviving panels of the Polyptych, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing this, Polyptych of San Gregorio were taken. 4 Renaissance paintings of extraordinary value have been stolen from a museum in Sicily. Italy's culture minister has said. On Alessandro Guili confirmed that 3 panels of the Polyptych of San Gregorio and a double-sided panel of the Madonna with Child and Christ in Pita, all attributed to Antonello da Messina, were taken from the regional interdisciplinary museum of Messina on Saturday night. Police are now probing how the thieves were able to enter the museum without triggering its alarms and who may be responsible. I feel like that's key for our rating at the end of this, by the way. The incident is the latest in a string of museum heists across Europe that have led to a growing number of priceless works disappearing from public view. Investigators are working on the initial suspicion that the paintings were stolen to order by black market art thieves, according to Italian news agency ANSA. Which makes sense because if you take something like this, it's a known theft. You can't break this down like it's a gold or a diamond. So you can't really just distribute it in any kind of way. It's a painting. It's a known thing and you've stolen it. It's a known stolen good. So it kind of has to go to someone's most likely a private collection or something like that. And then, it's just kind of gone forever until that person wants to relinquish it or some kind of shit, which is obviously unfortunate, for the art world, for the culture. But hey, so it goes. It reported that the Madonna and Christ in Pita was removed directly from inside a secure display case, while all the paintings taken were on wooden panels, preventing them from easily being rolled up. Good strat, I guess. Until it wasn't. The museum's director, Marisa Mercurio, said the theft was thought to have occurred around 21:50 local time on Saturday. We are shocked by what happened, she told ANSA, describing it as a great loss for the museum, for the city, the community, and the art world. Let's see here. There's more details about the paintings. I'm kind of just going to skip through that for the sake of time. Let's see. A double-sided panel of the Madonna with Child and Christ in Pizza was also stolen. Meanwhile, his double-sided panel showing an infant Christ blessing a follower while being held by the Virgin Mary on one side and an adult Christ in death on the other was painted around the same time, though exactly when is unclear. The small size suggests it was originally used for private worship. And who knows, maybe it's going back to a private worship of another kind, I guess you could say. Let's see. Federico Basile, the mayor of Messina, said he was deeply outraged by the heinous act. A heritage belonging to all the people of Messina has been violated, he said. Messina will not let its history be stolen. All right. And that's more or less it there. There's a little bit more extra. You can read all about that if you'd like. But overall, interesting heist to me. Yes, unfortunate for the art world. This is an L in that regard. But interesting heist all the same. How do I want to rate this though? 1, they got in, they got out, no alarms triggered. It's giving potential inside job, but I'm obviously being speculative there. But it doesn't seem like there was any weapons used. Doesn't seem like there was anything broken or anything of that nature to my knowledge. So I kind of want to give this an A. I mean, unless like by the end of this week or something, they all get like apprehended or something, I might have to amend my rating. But it seems like they were pretty fucking thorough. It seems like they were fucking clean with it. So yeah, I feel like I got to give that shit an A. That being said, we're not condoning theft. Always got to say that. Put that little asterisk there, mark that shit up. This podcast disagrees with stealing. All right, and also drugs. All right, we disavow drugs of all kinds, Schedule 1 and below. Okay, all right, for the record. Anyway, that's a bit of lead in for our last story. We gotta go to the frat house though. Shit, I didn't see that coming, bro. But anyway, let's go ahead and take our last break and we'll close it out. Ooh. Ooh-wee. All right. Our last story is coming from Yahoo News. Alleged ringleader of Penn State fraternity cocaine trafficking ring surrenders to police, Attorney General says. The man who authorities allege was the ringleader of a cocaine trafficking ring that operated out of 2 off-campus fraternity houses at Penn State University surrendered on Tuesday after failing to appear for a scheduled arraignment the day before. Agostino Abbatiello, 24, of Westbury, New York, was arraigned in a Pennsylvania district court on numerous felonies, including multiple counts of possession with intent to deliver and conspiracy. He was denied bail. Pennsylvania Attorney General's office announced charges on Monday against 14 people, including Abbatiello and 12 others who were Penn State students in 2023 and 2024, at or around the time of the alleged crimes. At least 4 of the defendants are current students. The father of a student was also charged with tampering with evidence. Let's see here. Abbatiello and Thomas Robinson acted as the main suppliers, according to the Attorney General's office, making regular trips to Philadelphia and New York to get large quantities of cocaine. Agostino Abbatiello was at the very top of the chain. Thomas Robinson was a rung below that. Both were Penn State students until 2024. All of the defendants, except for Abbatiello, were arraigned on Monday. A warrant was issued for Abbatiello's arrest. Now, this is the part that I was like, do I need to cover this? Like, I know I like a story like this, or I'm at least interested in talking about these shits for the pods. But this is what made me, like, I just had to. The vision of this, I had to yap. Prosecutors said the cocaine was cut and packaged at the Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi, I think it's Sigma Chi, whatever, I don't speak Greek, fraternity houses, and distributed primarily to Penn State students. At both fraternities, pledges were sometimes made to cut and package cocaine as part of their indoctrinations, according to authorities. Now, what hazing is worse? Like the old school hazing of yore, or literally like you're fucking got me Breaking Bad at the fucking frat house right now, bro. I gotta come in like in my boxers and some shit with the mask on, the little surgical mask or something, and I gotta cut this shit up. That is what I'm picturing. It's like it's giving Neighbors meets Blow, and I just fuck me up. I'm like, this is technically a nothing burger thing. It is just cocaine at a campus, like, fork found in fucking kitchen to me. But that being said, there was just something about that image that I'm like, I gotta get this on the pod. Let's see. We found a pattern of events that showed cutting and bagging cocaine was for some pledges and indoctrination into Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi fraternities. Let's see. Abbatiello, Robinson, and 2 others, Mohammed Harabi and Lars Zepfat, were charged with felony corrupt organizations, conspiracy, dealing in proceeds of unlawful activity, and related offenses, according to the Attorney General's office. A 5th person, Robert Zanola, was charged with felony conspiracy and criminal use of a communication facility and related misdemeanors. 8 other student-age defendants were charged with misdemeanor counts, including possession. Robinson's father, Paul Robinson, was charged with felony tampering, hindering, and obstruction for allegedly taking steps to conceal evidence, including a safe containing drugs and cash. Dude, if you put this shit in a safe, they're gonna get you for that? God damn. Hey, the more you fucking know, I guess. And then obviously the last paragraph here is how Penn State is horrified by cocaine trafficking allegations. I bet they're like, oh my gosh, good, oh no. Look, this is not the worst allegation that has hit Penn State. And if you want to, know more about that, look up, I don't know, Google Penn State allegations, and I'm sure you'll find something that is going to make you go ick. But anyway, that is where I will close it out. A little bit of cocaine on a Tuesday. What can I say? But yeah, that'll be the episode. It's good to be back. Let's see. If you'd like to help out support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsy today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Let's see. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is always caring. It's always nice for the algo to do so. But if you don't, that's okay. All the stars are appreciated on Spotify or the Apple Podcast. But if you don't do that, also fine. I'm really just glad that I'm not talking to an empty room. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, I am right now. But I know on the other side of this line, there's just someone listening saying, wow, that's crazy. Damn, that's so wild. You know what I mean? And I appreciate you. I think that it's nice that, someone's on the other end saying, damn, that's crazy. I don't know. This is the end of the road. And we've come to the end of the... Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.